All right. Good morning, everybody. Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Up, guys?
Here we go.
Good morning.
It's just me and the guys today. This is it. This is like all I'm getting. I would say.
Hey, it's not all you get. You got the best of the
I
best.
got the best. I got the best. This is it. It's okay. I'm used to it. It's all good. All right. Well, I'm gonna kind of get started. I know people will kind of filter in here. Lot that I would like to, obviously, I'm gonna try not to talk a ton because it's more of a mastermind. So I'm here to kind of prompt things for you guys to discuss with each other. But I really loved Shrag's call yesterday on how to kind of keep our buyers engaged. There was one line that really stood out to me that I've probably heard him say hundreds of times, but for some reason I feel like yesterday I just needed to hear it, which is just that providing, great service, like that's really what causes the referrals to come. So that's what he was saying. He said, providing great service is your greatest referral source. And I was actually, for some of you who might know, I work with my mom, and we were discussing this morning of we've just had like this really great kind of streak. And we were kind of thinking, like, is this a streak or is this something that maybe we've just actually gotten really great at? Of people aren't really fighting us on things anymore. People aren't fighting us on, the numbers they need to offer. It's not saying they're doing it every time, but there's no more of that, well, where'd this come from? Like very combative kind of answers. Like, how are you saying we need to offer this? Or why are you saying we need to waive this? Or with our sellers, why are you saying we need to price it there? And I think we've gotten, I don't know if people are just becoming nicer or something in the water, a little bit of, relaxants in our municipal water here, but people have really seemed like they're understanding what we're saying. And I think it's because we're being really clear, and we're obviously, I don't know if it's like we're being softer in our approach, or we're just really kind of getting to what is kind of like the foundation of people that causes them to be kind of combative. So I think a lot of that comes out in like the Med C framework of really getting to understand why it is they're making the move, what are their goals truly, what are like the pain points, so kind of like avoiding putting them in certain situations. Um, a lot of that. So I thought that was a great call. I'm hoping, most of us were on it yesterday. So I was gonna, I don't want to take too much time on each section, but my goal for today was to kind of tee everybody up for each of the sections Shrag was talking about. And kind of have, if you have something that really you feel like is working great for you, would love for you to share that. Because I'm sure there's a lot of us who struggle with the same things in a lot of these different sections. So first thing that he was talking about yesterday was like sharing listings with people. So like the search experience, that's kind of the first part of it. The second was like efficient showing scheduling. So a lot of us, I think, immediately just think of the client tours, Compass tool. I don't think it's so much on that. I think what he was talking about too is scheduling showings on houses that are actually going to be a good fit for our clients, not just, taking them around to things because we want to keep the appointment for that weekend, or there's not really much to show, so that we're just kind of filling up the time with that. Really being mindful and like really trying to target properties that are truly going to work for them, because we've learned at that point what it is that they're truly looking for, what their lifestyle is, what community they want, what parts of the house, they want so badly, and why. So a lot of that, and then going into like effective engagement scripts, which does kind of touch on everything, but that's really in like the initial consultation, during the showings. So really like getting feedback from people while they're in these showings, instead of leaving and being like, if someone asks you, did they like it? And you're like, not really sure. Couldn't really get that much out of them. So figuring out, and if you feel like you have people who talk more than others, obviously we've all experienced that, but how do you get people to open up in these showings so you can really get in their heads as quickly as possible? How we're asking for feedback after it, and then handling objections as they come up. So those are the three sections we're going to be chatting about. Going back to the first one of like how we really share listings. So getting your clients on collections, if you feel like you've done a great job getting them off Zillow, Redfin, all these other sites, and working with you in the collection, and how you're sharing listings with people. So does anybody feel like they do a phenomenal job at that they'd like to talk about? We are a great set of realtors, aren't we? We are fabulous. We are wonderful. No.
I think I do pretty well with it, Kate, and I think I
Okay.
probably pulled some of the things out of your playbook. Um, Setting up a collection not just of the active properties that might fit what they're looking for, but also a collection of sold properties so they can show me what they might have moved forward with if it had been available currently. So I kind of know what their expectations of the market is. And, I've shared before, I'm currently working with a buyer who is looking for something that only one of these properties has sold in the last 2 years. So
Yeah.
now I have something to show her where I can say, given only one of these properties has come up on the actual market, and we can do what we can to search off market, but help me understand how I can best support you, given that not many of these are coming up.
Right. Right.
So I think that's been really effective.
Yeah, I love that. Has anybody else been doing that as well? I mean, I feel like I started doing that, but probably mentioned that a couple of years ago, and we had super, super limited inventory, like even worse than at least what I'm experiencing in my market now, of kind of going back, 3, 6 months or things that are currently in contract, or, if people were coming to me kind of out of season, so to speak. We have like a fall market and a spring market here. And there wasn't much to show them, figuring out, well, what would you have bought at, in the prime time?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, so I just automatically, when I set up collections, I put all the classes active, pending, and sold. And I'll do sold going back 30 days if they've just started. Then they'll start getting other solds. And that starts giving them an idea of, why homes are selling for. And our market is also very tight with inventory. It still is. So it's also very location centric. So certain neighborhoods sell very fast, very quickly, but others don't. So I have my mantra, and I usually have my listing sold in 30 days or less. But I'm now at 45 days, and this listing hasn't sold. And we did a price improvement. So it's, as I said, market location centric.
Yep. So kind of, pointing to things maybe can lead me off into the next part of this anyone wants to share of,
But may
yeah,
I have one more thing?
sure.
Because I think you said we'll talk about it. So I have been recently noticing, and especially with after the new, having to visit a sign, but we don't get to that till later. But most of the buyers or potential buyers that come in, they're so tight-lipped. They just don't want to engage. And, I've never had a problem with them not engaging, but I'm finding that recently I've had that, those scenarios.
Yep. So we'll get to that maybe in like effective engagement scripts, maybe more towards the end, and how we
Mhm.
can kind of prompt people to open up. Feel like I really have gotten good at softening up the hardest of people and just being like just open up a little bit, tell me a little something. You don't have to be so sterile with the process.
Right.
So kind of what some of those prompts can be. Going back to actually sharing listings and that search experience for people, does anybody do a wonderful job at like leaving certain comments? This way they actually understand, instead of just like sharing the listing, what they're actually saying once the listing is shared.
What do you mean by that? It's like when you're in collections and if they put a comment, then you respond to that. Is that what you're saying?
So
Yeah.
for me, I'll share like my own personal experience with it. When I actually choose to share a listing into a collection, I'm typically leaving a comment on why I actually shared
Right.
that with them. This way they can understand, especially for people like this weekend, for instance, I have clients coming in from California, their relocation. They have no idea about the nuances of Pound Ridge versus Katona, these different towns where they're near me. So I'm making sure that as I share a property with them, I'm also leaving certain comments and maybe having like a framework for what that comment looks like so that it's something they can also get used to. So every time a listing is shared, we might look in and say, yeah, it looks good. Kitchen's awesome, all this stuff. And there could be wetlands in the back that they had no idea about. Or it could be, as you're talking about,
Right.
a certain market or a nuance of the location, which is why
Mhm.
it might be priced so much lower. So anything like that that people do that you feel works really well?
Yes, I'll put notes in. If there's anything on the MLS that might be confidential remarks that I can share with them, I'll put that. Like disclosures will be uploaded on a certain day, you know, because they're kind of used to seeing that out here.
Right.
Or I'll say, oh, also check out down the street sold. You'll see the other just as comparison. So it's such and such sold
Okay.
last month, and it was on, you know, a block away or around the corner.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Kate, I'm curious how you handle a situation where someone, obviously, if they give you specific criteria, great, you're one step closer to understanding what their real needs are. But some of my clients, like I have a friend of mine who I've known for a long time, and him and his girlfriend are looking for a place, and they're just like, send us everything. We're kind of, you know, we really want to just judge for ourselves. We want to drive around the neighborhoods as the homes populate. I try to understand what their specific criteria is, but since they're looking for like a multifamily investment property, it's something where their lifestyle needs are kind of offset a little bit by the fact that they just want to make some additional income from the other
Right.
unit in the building. So they're not really 100% gung ho about what their needs are versus just having an investment property available. So how would you handle a situation like that where they're not giving me that much to lead into a situation where I could even like hand pick some properties, never mind make a comment on why I shared them?
Yeah. I mean, I would really probably repeat it back to them as Shrug always does. So, like, if I'm hearing you correctly, what seems to be super important about your search is also making sure, you know, that the financials make the most amount of sense. Can you give me an example of, you know, what what a perfect situation would be like for you on like maybe that income basis? Is it like a certain amount of cash flow, whatever that might be? So at least you have something to work with, because I feel like if we're just shooting it, you know, from the hip every time, or shot in the dark, whatever the saying is, it's like, okay, well, yeah, this would cash flow a little bit, or this would cover your costs. Is that what they're looking for? Is this in the location? So also seeing again, like, have there been places that they would have said, if this came up again, if 123 Main Street came on again, all day long, we would have grabbed it. Great. Now, like, I kind of know what we're targeting here. But I think trying to kind of back them in a little bit to, you know, something that is like tangible that you can actually search with will be really helpful. Or also like suggesting as well, like, this is something I had a client the other day personally, like, I own an investment property, very small thing, whatever. It's in a wonderful school district, wonderful area, very desirable part of Westchester, but it's like a $400,000 condo. So I also, and it doesn't really, I mean, it cash flows a little bit a month, but it's just a great hold for me investment wise. So that I'll like give that example to people sometimes, because I also feel like investors, or people who want to be investors, I'll say, don't really know exactly what that means to them. So giving them examples of different investments that might be a great idea is also helpful to get the wheels turning. Maybe they're tight-lipped because they don't actually know themselves. So getting them to talk a little bit more about,
Hey, Jackie, okay.
sorry, so sorry. Getting them to kind of open up a little bit more of like, what is that goal financially for you to hit? And maybe another idea will come to mind for you that is a multifamily, isn't, maybe it's something with like an ADU in the back. I don't know, I'm just thinking. You know, maybe they don't even know what they don't know. But sometimes people like put on this front too of like, oh, well, I'm not
Yeah,
going to tell you anything, so you can just find it. It's like, what the hell
yeah.
am I finding? Like, I don't know what you want. So
Got a little bit to do with that, but also they're like, you know, there are some variables like what the rehab costs might be that are going to end up somewhere in the equation with what they can afford. So
right.
there are a certain amount of variables that until we walk into the property, we don't necessarily know if it's going to be a fit. But, you know, I am
Yeah.
trying to figure out what their feedback is so I can turn it into a tangible, actionable
Right.
search.
Right. Or comments, you know, in this search as you're leaving them, saying these are the things you want to focus on here to know if we should be setting up a showing.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anyone else on the search experience? Anyone have any questions of things that maybe aren't working well for them? That they're like, listen, does anybody have an idea of how to make this better? Everybody's perfect. Everybody's like, Kate, I just came here to look at you, say it's brightening up my day. It's fine. I get it. It's okay. I get it. All right, let's pivot to the next part of this then, if we're good kind of on the collections.
Can I ask a
Yeah,
quick
please.
question? So one of the things, I have a lot of Zillow leads that I set up on collections I don't
Mhm.
have big relationships with, right? At most, I've shown them a property. Sometimes I haven't even gotten out with them and want to set them up on collections anyway. The challenge I have is having them actually accept the invitation in collections. Any suggestions around that?
Anyone? I talk a lot. Has anybody else taken on any kind of online leads and tried converting them by using collections?
No, not converting leads, but our clients tell us all the time, Redfin is very much better than your collections. They give us everything. So it's like a difficult thing to overcome sometimes. But of course, we take a step further and like, hey, we can put these comments and you can share with us what we saw, or I can share with you. So it's just, I think they have to get to being and I also go on to say, look, you're actually spending your time looking at Zillow or Redfin. Here, it all just pops into your inbox. And of course, we can set it up if you want it as it comes up, a new listing comes up, or once a day in the evening, or, once a week, depending on your timeline. So some get it, some are still like, oh, we like Redfin.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Jeff, I feel like not everyone's going to accept it. There's not like a one size fits all thing, obviously. Do you feel like, and you can be totally honest, very safe space group. Do you feel like you are very comfortable in like what the collection's actually going to look like to them on on the consumer side of things, or what, I guess, if you want to say like the value of them being in a collection versus on Zillow, if that's especially probably working. Do you
Yeah,
feel comfortable in that?
I'm totally
Okay.
comfortable with it. I think it's just one of those things where they are getting their searches from Zillow or Redfin or wherever else, and they don't want to be. I'm making this up. I don't know
No,
that
no,
this
yeah.
is true, but that I don't need to be on another mailing list kind of thing,
Right,
right?
right.
We don't have an established relationship, and clearly I haven't positioned it well enough yet. I think as we talk about this, I'm thinking that sending instead of just the collection invite, creating a video email that explains it a little bit better
Yep.
is probably the way to go. The way that I've started teasing it recently is because, Zillow Lead, we're at the very beginning of the
Yeah.
relationship, right? So it's like when we choose to partner together, then I'll also be able to add off-market listings for you to see.
Right. Right.
So, if
Yep.
that's of interest, let's pursue this more.
So Jeff, do
No,
you
I
use
think
like open
that's
house
huge. Yeah.
leads?
Sorry, Mike.
Are these like open house and Zillow leads that you're specifically talking about?
Really, Zillow Leads is is my focus right now with the question. But I would apply to, open house to some degree for sure.
Yeah, I think this probably relates also to what Nomita was saying about just kind of getting these people from a place where they're just early in the process, too early to commit to anything and one of the things that I was going to bring up later when we got to it was how to convert someone who's just like, yeah, if you like someone who walks into an open house, for instance, and asks you to just send them similar listings, whether it's, looking for like something like this with additional space, if you have anything, send it over. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't go through the whole Med C right here at the open house. And how do I quickly try to figure out a way to have a phone call with these people where I can deliver that Med C and figure out what their true needs are. So that way I know whether or not they will be serious about accepting an invitation to that collection, or whether they're just kind of, out there window shopping and just trying to, some of them are trying to leverage 100 real estate agents to send them whatever off-market listings that they can and think they're gaming the system in some way. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave, and then I'm gonna go to two hands that are up just to kind of recap on this. I think what I'm hearing here is that the success really might lie in teeing it up, properly in some sort of email. So really showing them like what the value might be in the types of comments that you can kind of curate. So obviously the private exclusives are huge. That's like an easy sell to people because it's things they won't be seeing on there. But also by like maybe asking them some questions when you do get them on the phone of, what are things that you would like to know specifically about the neighborhood or what's important to you, so that you can try leaving those comments on there, or at least say that in that intro. This
Right.
way they know like, okay, those are the things that they can't find on there. And Shrugs talked about this a lot of the time too, is I don't think a lot of us, and enough of the time are going in and actually seeing what is that consumer search like. So maybe practicing it on yourself, setting yourself up on a Zillow, or if people love Redfin, say, what do people love so much about this? Let me go on it and see what that experience looks like. This way, when you're talking to them, you can be kind of speaking to exactly what they're seeing. Oh, on Zillow, when it gives you this, this is a way I can kind of take it a step better in the comments. This way you're kind of meeting them exactly where they're at. Instead of us just saying like, oh, don't go on Zillow, come on this. It's like, okay, maybe I like my Zillow. I have my rhythm down. I like my shopping cart. I know what it says. Like when it, I love waking up and it gives me all these things. So you can kind of learn a little bit more of like, what is it that they love so much about that? They probably don't love giving Zillow money, but clearly they're doing something great that they love.
Yeah, it's a really great point because I've done this before, but it's also the platforms change over time.
Absolutely.
And so it's a really good opportunity to go back in and set me up on Zillow and Redfin and collections and then really compare all three where they all are at this point.
Yeah,
Cool. I appreciate the
absolutely.
conversation.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know who is first, but Andrea or Christine, whoever wants to fight, go
I
for it.
want to riff off of this one, actually. Good morning.
Sure.
And we act, just for the record, I come to look at your new wedding ring. That's why I come to the calls.
Oh,
So
thanks.
congratulations.
Thanks.
Okay, so a few of Chirag's lines that he uses come to mind. One is, have you ever thought about what agents do for the compensation they receive? So that, I think that would be the second one. But the first one, I feel like something, I don't remember how he starts it, but something blah blah that you can't do for yourself. So our
Mhm.
Compass collections is something that you can't do for yourself. It saves you time. It buys you time. Unless you're looking at Zillow as a way to chill out all day long, for 2 hours a night or whatever, our Compass collection will save you time and pinpoint exactly what you're looking for. So if time is the asset that's most important to you, here's how I can save it for you, or something. I feel like there's a nugget in there somewhere. Haven't totally
Yeah.
used it out.
No, I think it's great. Christine.
One thing I like to dial down on with collection is that it's a communication tool as well. So if you have, buyer that they want their mom to look at it or whatever, and everybody can really communicate in that one spot without 12 emails and texts and this and that. Like I think it's so easy for everybody involved to see, and then just really dialing down as well on how I curate it for you. Tell me exactly what you want. You can keep your Zillow open. You might get, 2,500 two beds or whatever you want, but I can really dial it down for you. And then, you favorite it, you trash it, whatever. I think using really pinpointing that it's a great communication tool is also powerful.
Yeah, I love that. And I think kind of going off of that as well, the most important, just like one thing that came to mind, like the most important time that you have people in a collection is as soon as they accept the invitation. So also being really mindful of like when you invite people in. Sometimes people are so quick to go in and invite them before they've actually curated it. So the comments aren't there and whatnot. Like that's really when you're selling it to people. So be really mindful of when you're actually adding the client in. If you want to go a little harder at the beginning and leave all these wonderful comments and all this stuff, even if it's something you can't exactly keep up with on that exact level, it is the first time they're looking in there. So if they jump in on the first time and they don't love what they're seeing and they're not blown away, it's going to be really hard to actually get them to go back. So I think exactly to kind of your point with like that, the communication, showing them exactly, what you just sold to them when they actually get in there is really important. Kathy, did you want to share as well? Let me see where I can.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, there you go.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know how to raise my hand.
No, you're good. I saw you in there.
Diane Schneider and I were in Danville, and we've been working on our open house lead follow-ups.
Mhm.
and putting them into our bulk email templates so we could just shoot them off quickly. And after one of our meetings that Shrugs shared at the YouTube video, we put that in our collections because we really want them to engage. And we have had so many hits, if you will, on that, like, because you could go back and see how many times they look at it. And, some people are looking at 4 and 5 times after an open house. So I think maybe and I'm happy to share that email with you, Jeff, I think it was, I was asking.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I don't know how to do that, but
You can email it to me if you want, or you
Can,
can email,
can I
maybe
do
Jeff, if you
that?
want to
Okay.
leave your email in the chat so Kathy can send it to you, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's been really successful. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, share it with me too now, because now
I will.
I can't be left
I'm,
out of this, and I think other people are going to want it. I'll circulate it.
I will share it with you, and yeah,
Perfect.
you can go from
That's
there.
great. Yeah, I mean, anything, even if I feel like a lot of us just have somewhat of like a framework sometimes just to work with, it's like writing an essay. It's like once you get the first few sentences, it starts to flow, but just looking at a blank screen, it's like, I have so much I want to say. How am I putting it down here?
We've been using AI a lot, and it's really helpful.
Exactly. Perfect. Perfect. Cool. All right. So as always, I didn't get through everything I wanted to talk about. Sorry, but we have such great conversations that just we could talk for hours. All right, does anybody want to share anything else? I don't want to like open up a whole other topic and then take people over. But I think we have a lot of good things. And if you like, something like I don't have to just go off of whatever that week's sessions were with Shirag. If you guys feel like you love this topic, or I know last time we talked about like one compass tool, but if you want me to go back to any of those and go off of another point of one of those, I don't need to like start a new topic on these. I really want these to be successful masterminds for everybody here. And you never really know where the conversation is going to lead. So feel free to email me anytime so we can kind of chat about that. I did want to take like just 2 minutes just to see, are you guys liking this kind of framework of these mastermind sessions? Is this helpful instead of me just like talking? I mean, I'm still talking a lot, but talking at you all the time.
So as a new realtor, yeah, it's very helpful for me to hear my
Okay.
colleagues speaking about what they can do and what they've done and how they utilize the tools and, use it to push that we have something better at Compass that others don't have. So it's helpful for me.
Cool. Okay, good. And everyone else hates it, I'm assuming, right? That's what the no comments are. I'm just kidding. If you guys like this, so I'll be with you for the next 3 weeks while David's away. So you're gonna get me next week and then the week after as well. Are you guys liking like David and I kind of switching off? We both are like totally different people, obviously, and bring such different things to this. Do you want us to do them together? Maybe once, have a little guest appearance. I mean,
It'll
we
be
want it to work for you guys.
I've always loved your style and your delivery. So, but to have both of you at one week out of the
Let's do
month
it.
would be like, hey, yeah, let's try it.
Cool. Okay, great. I appreciate it. Okay, so I'll try and get that maybe after the next few weeks. We'll maybe do one together and just see it. We just wanted to make sure you guys kind of like this style of hearing everybody kind of share. I always feel like it's very helpful just to also hear like people who are actually in the weeds. Obviously, that's why I think my coaching style is probably more approachable because I'm doing this with you guys every day. But just want to make sure it's working for everybody. You don't feel like it's waste of time or you're not getting a ton out of it, but I feel like it's very helpful. And I feel like a lot of people are speaking up too, which is always really nice to see. So awesome. We'll keep it going then. No problem.
So, Kate, can we see your ring?
Sure. You can see my ring.
Uh,
It's a good one.
wow. How
You
many
know,
carats?
I have no idea. I just don't look at my, bank account or anything. So he did the first, I did the second. I'm like, we're super, super untraditional. I walked in and I picked, well, I didn't know. The jeweler said, he was like, well, which one do you like? So I picked the one all the way at the right at the bottom. And he's like, yeah, of course you like them. That's the one that's gonna hurt you the most. I'm like, okay, well, can't go back. Sorry. So that's what
You're
we
young.
did.
You'll catch up.
And yeah, it's fine. Listen, it's the years of being broke, as we tell ourselves, so it's all good. It's all good. Um, Awesome. All right. Well, I'm happy everybody's liking this. So email me if you want to for like what you guys want to see the most next week. And also like if you want to make it like a 45-minute session, whatever you guys want to do, because I do feel like we have a lot to talk about, especially with these topics. Please, please, please let me know. Want to make it work for everyone. Cool.
Right.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. And I'll leave
Thank
this
you.
up. Everyone got what they needed out of the chat in here. Jeff, you got your email sent? Okay.
I'll send it separately.
Okay. Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Talk to
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.